Hey guys, and welcome to the channel. In today's Star Citizen video, we are going to cover the topic of RMC and hull scraping. Where does it stand right now? Is it still a great moneymaker, or is with the ability to hull munch or fracture, is it just not worth it in the time of the gameplay right now? So today we're going to do a little testing, a little experimenting. We're going to try some different scraping heads. We're going to go with the cinch and the embraid and see how that's working out. Now we're going to go in the Vulture because it's a one-man crew, and I think there's probably more people flying around in a Vulture than a Reclaimer right now. So we are going to take this Vulture out. We're going to try some different heads and see how it's going. Like, what kind of time is it taking for us to get a load of hull scraping RMC material and then go sell it for the extra, it's double the amount of construction materials, but is all that extra time that we're about to spend gonna be worth it? Now we know hull scraping, it's still the meta of the power washing simulator. It's still a very relaxing gameplay loop. You can go grab your salvage missions and you can hull scrape to your heart content. But let's see where we actually stand with it. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to jump in this right now. We're going to get some gameplay going. We're going to see what it's like. I'll show you the different heads and kind of what I've changed on my loadout, and I'll tell you where you can get it. We are taking off from Area 18, and that's going to be kind of the basis of where we're going to stay around for our hull scraping adventures here. So let's get this going. Okay guys, now we have reached our first little salvage. Now I've started with something very small, a 100i, and to get this started off, you can see on the two edges right here, I have the cinch scraper module and the abrade. Now this ship comes standard with a cinch, a tractor beam here, and then a cinch and an abrade. Now I replace the tractor beam with the abrade because I'm not using the tractor beam for what I'm doing with the Vulture. You can pick that up. I picked mine up at Area 18, but you're welcome to get into like Urkel and it'll tell you where you can pick up one that's closest to you. So I recommend swapping this one out with an abrade so you have two abrade modules. As of the time of making this video, they are definitely the two best scraper modules that I find the best for the amount of material you get for the time. So that's what we're going to do. We are going to jump into this. I'll try to speed some of this gameplay up for you, but I kind of want to give you an idea of the time it takes to kind of, strip a ship and what you're getting per the type of ship and material for RMC. Now remember, we're not going to do construction materials. This is straight RMC. Now, okay, guys, that was pretty fast. It took, what, maybe a minute, maybe slightly less, really just moving around there to strip that hole. And as you can see down here, we got a total of 1 SCU of RMC. Now, this was a 100i. I took the mission for 1,000. It sells for, what, 14, a little over 14. So we made about 13K profit in about, really, a minute. If you're just talking about stripping it off. Now, you're not talking about flying here. You're not talking about the time it takes to get back, to get down to the surface, to sell, and all that stuff. So all that really needs to be taken into, effect when you're loading your ship up. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to move on to our next target, and we're just going to see how this goes and see the time it's still taking with, like, as we go to, like, bigger salvage claims and things like that. Okay, guys, next mission here that we're going to do, next salvage claim, we are going to do this Aegis Vanguard Sentinel. Now, this isn't necessarily ideal, but the key to this is that if you stay in the same system, so when you're going through your salvage list, which it usually gives you a plethora of different missions, if you can find one right in your same system, no matter what it is, the time that you're going to save with not having to jump to another location and stuff is going to be well worth it. So that's what I did. We were at her L2 at the time of that first mission because that was, you know, the first one I needed to do to unlock the rest of them, because this is a new patch for me for salvage. Now, we just stayed in the her L2 system to do this Sentinel, so I only had to go about 40 kilometers away to really even get to this. So it's going to make this much, much faster, and I'm going to gain more material per time. So let's get into this one. Okay, guys, we are about done with that one. As you can see, we're up to about 7.9, so we're almost 8 SCU of RMC. So what I'm going to do is I think we're going to throw in one more mission here, just so we can get a good idea of how all this is, you know, how all these salvage missions play in doing this RMC solo versus, you know, doing RMC and then coming in and doing the hull fracture. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take one more mission. We're going to strip the hull, see where we're at, and then we're going to go back down. We're going to get this sold, and we're just going to kind of put all the pieces together and see, is it worth doing just the RMC versus, RMC construction materials, and breaking it down into both. Okay, we are here at location at our last and final little hole scraping that we're going to do for this video. It's a Cutlass Black. Again, this is a 20K. It was the closest one to me. It was right over at her L1, so it was a quick hop and jump. I'm not jumping between systems, so it speeds it up, even though this isn't the ideal ship, right? I mean, we'd rather have like something like an Inferno or a Starfarer, something that has more of a flatter surface. But when you're jumping like short distances and then you're just continuing to scrape, it just seems to be much faster and a lot less time consuming than just, jumping from system to system. That's just completely my, opinion on it and my experience of just doing this in the Vulture at least. So let's get this last one done, and then let's kind of go over all the salvage kind of at once in my, personal opinion between the easiest way to kind of get this done, the easiest missions to take. And just like that, guys, the third little mission that we're doing here is complete. As you can see, my depot is completely full, and I had just enough to finish that mission. So we did 2 of the 20K missions, and then we did one of the 1,000 missions. So pretty successful. So what we're going to do is I'm going to head back to ArtCorp. It's where I normally hang around. We're going to go back down. We're going to get this stuff sold, take a look at it, and that way we can, you know, determine, and I'll talk about like the best way to, you know, make the money in salvage, the best missions to take, you know, how to get about making the best RMC that you can, and construction materials. Because one thing to point out is that if you have a friend that has a cargo ship that you can offload this on and have them go sell and things like that, you know, it's a completely different way of gameplay. I'm specifically talking about solo right here. So I will catch you guys when I get back to the selling point. Okay, one quick tip before we get to selling this is the Vulture holds about 12 SCU, but it's a good thing to note that you can fit a good, and let me get out here so you can kind of see the full picture. You can fit a good 22 SCU in here. Sometimes, I guess if you're real creative, 23, but I normally stuff about 21, 22 SCU in here. Not to mention, you can still have 13 SCU in the buffer of the machine, so you can still stay out there for quite a bit of time, even when the, you know, the hull right here is full. So that's a good thing to remember. It's a good tip, good trick of make sure you know you've got a full ship before you come back, because we can go over, sell this, run back, claim, you know, get the ship back, get your tool out, throw it back in there, and sometimes it even lets you, since we're not in a zone, you can actually use the tractor beam in here. Sometimes like for me, every now and then I'll get to where it's a little bit glitchy, but it looks like we can still use it, as you can see. So all you got to do is claim your ship, get it in the hangar, and then move your boxes out. You'll have 13, store it back, go back to the trade terminal, and you got 13 more SCU to sell. It is, you know, it's definitely worth doing. It seems like it's a little bit of time because you got to get on the tram ride back, but it's not for 13 SCU. That's, you know, 14K a pop. Definitely worth making that trip for. So just a quick tip there, guys. Okay, I'm here at ArtCorp, and I'm at the, you know, kind of the plaza, and we're gonna go over here to the TDD because that's where we are selling RMC. Remember, this was an RMC only run, so we're gonna come over here. We're gonna get to these terminals, and we're gonna see what our little 13, you know, SCU of RMC makes us. Alright, we are selecting our location. We're going to grab our Vulture. We have our... Oh, it's actually... There it is right here. We have 12 and our 13. There is no demand. Sell. 160 right there. So we got 160K off of those 3 little missions, right? So we sell. There we go. Transaction complete. There was 116K. Now this is selling for 13.38. So a little bit under the 14K that it had been selling for. Confirm. There we go. Just like that, guys. Made, you know, quite a bit, you know, 170, over 170K right there for those short 3 runs. Is great for a solo player. Now keep in mind, that was just 3 runs. Now you could have stayed out there, probably have gotten a good 6 to 8 more boxes inside the hole, and then ran another 13 SCU. That's real important if you're a solo player, because you're talking about, you know, a 200 and, you know, a 300K run just in RMC in a Vulture by yourself. Now let's talk real fast before I go about the missions, okay? We're going to jump in here and talk about why I do these missions. Now, you have to pay for them. So I paid a good 41K. So you have to take 41K off that total because that's what it cost me to get these. But the thing about these missions is, these salvage missions, especially if you're solo, is that you can find them around the same places. Now, these tell you where they're going to be before you select them. It's not just random, right? So there we go, Arc 5. You're able to go through these missions and pick. And you can find them, like, so there would have been another one at her L2 I could have done. And you just keep going through this list, and after you finish one, there should be another one that pops up around that location or somewhere very close. So if you're at the Hurston area, you can literally just keep bouncing between her L1 and her L2 and fill up anything you want. Now again, this is just for a solo type player. If you have a co-op buddy that you can play with, a friend, and they can bring a little ship, you know, like a, whatever it is, an A1 or any type of cargo ship, Miss Freelancer, I'd go ahead and take the construction material, fill their ship up, and let them go sell, because then you can just keep on going as they're dropping off and selling and coming back to you, and you'll never have to leave between her L1 and her L2 to get all this done, and it can be pretty profitable over, you know, a couple hour time. So yeah, guys, that's really all I had for today. I just really wanted to show the process of the RMC. It looks like it's doing a little bit better. You can see the time frame it took me to kind of suck up that RMC. It's not as bad as it has been in the past. Again, the key is making sure you're using 2 abrade modules on the Vulture, you know, instead of just using the 1 or the cinch modules. It's just the time per RMC that you're getting is much better right now with the abrade module. I do have a video where I kind of went over that, you know, where I actually tried 2 trawlers, and it's still just the balance between time per what you get is just better on the abrade. So yeah, guys, I'm not going to drag this out any longer. I just wanted to get you guys some information on, you know, just hull scraping alone, RMC, and how that has been progressing in the game. Salvage is still one of my favorite game loops. I enjoy it, so I try to keep up with it as much as possible. I hope some of the gameplay and some of the tips helped, especially if you're a new player or maybe this is the first video you're watching. So as always, guys, thank you for the support. I appreciate it. I can't thank you guys enough. If you've liked the video, you like the content, think about subscribing. It is an absolute free way to help the channel, help me out, give me motivation. Leave me comments, tell me your tips and tricks, the things that you do to maximize, you know, your profit and everything. And as always, I will see you guys on the next video.